Good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope everyone is well. Apparently, the Wi-Fi, the internet across the country went out. It just blew at 6 o'clock when Boris Johnson came on and made that noise. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. Everyone was on the edge of their seats waiting to hear when they were going to be allowed to reconnect with family and friends. And please God, this news will be the beginning of good things for us all and our families. So, good morning to everyone. I'm not going to go through the list yet. Let's make a start by dedicating today's learning to those that have passed on. Firstly, to Leah Bas Bible, Binyamin Akiva ben Shlomo, Rabbi Yaakov Tzvi ben David Aryeh, that's Rabbi Lord Sachs, Tzipora Fegel Bas Reuben Baruch, Paul Casimir, Shalom ben Elili, Ben Bas Bible, from Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel, Caleb ben Bas Henoch, Yirmiyahu Chil ben Moshe Eliezer, Ramaka Bas Binyamin, Shlomo Yechia ben Moshe ben Yeshua Levi, Avram Mordechai ben Yeshua Katna, and the Yort sites for today. See if I can see it without my glasses. Right. Five Chaim ben Yisrael Ackerman, Melita Bambaji, Melech Mordechai ben Avram Copeland, Chaim ben David Yitzhak Diamond, wish David long life, Meir ben Aryeh Golimer, Hannah Bas Labus Posner, Yeshua Dov ben Yosef Gutkin, wish the Gutkins long life, Francis Fenton, Avram ben Mordechai Eliah Myers, and David Chuna Bas Shmuel Avram Rosenberg. Wish all of them long life. Let's say good morning to everyone. Good morning, good morning. Firstly to Colin, to Peter, to Richard, to Estelle, to Caroline, to Rachel, Michael, David. And they wish you long life, as we already mentioned, and to Carol. Good morning, everyone who are coming and viewing and watching across the world. So let's now make a start on the new Mishnah. Okay, we are progressing very nicely through Ethics of the Fathers. And we're now up to chapter 2, Mishnah, I think it's Perik Base, Mishnah Tes, number 9. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Kibel Mehillel u'Mishamai. Now, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai received from Hillel and Shammai. Now, we'll come back to who Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was in a minute. Who are you, Omer? He used to say, Im lamata Torah harbe, if you learned much Torah, Al tachzik tova la'atzmacha. Don't keep it just for yourself. Ki lekach nutzarta, because that is why you were created. Okay, so we're going to explain that. But first, let us appreciate who Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was and who, please God, we can all become. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was not the greatest, far from it, of Hillel's students. He shouldn't have been the natural successor. Rabbi Gamliel, perhaps his grandson would have been, but things were the way they were, and it turned out that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai rose to the occasion. What do I mean he rose to the occasion? So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai lived at the time of the destruction of the Second Temple. Jerusalem had been sieged by the Romans, and the writing was on the wall. There were 3 factions. We discussed this actually on Tisha B'Av. In the temple itself, in Jerusalem itself, and being Jews, we didn't get along with one another, and the supplies that should have lasted for years, those that wanted to fight against the Romans destroyed, and therefore there was a famine. People were literally dying of hunger. It was horrendous times. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai realized that he had to think out the box, and that's precisely what he did. He feigned his death. He told his students that he wanted to be smuggled out of Jerusalem and to speak to the general Vespasian. And he pretended he was dying. His students surrounded him, playing along with the game. And eventually it was announced in Jerusalem, in Jerusalem, that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the great sage, the leader of the Jewish people, had died. So they put him in a coffin, okay, weigh it down, because obviously the Romans would suspect otherwise, and they then head towards the entrance. And of course, the Romans made quite a scene and weren't happy about, were rather suspicious, but eventually he got out. When he got out of Jerusalem, he was carried straight to Vespasian, who was the general, and lo and behold, out he gets of the coffin. to Vespasian's surprise, and he addresses Vespasian as my Emperor Vespasian. Now, Vespasian was not the emperor then, right? Vespasian was the general. And so Vespasian turns to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and says to him, for that alone I should have you killed, right? Besides the fact that he smuggled himself out of Jerusalem. And all of a sudden, right at that moment, so the Talmud tells us, there was a messenger came, huge commotion, and he arrives on the scene from Rome. And he says, the emperor is dead, long live Emperor Vespasian. Vespasian, cannot believe it. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai 2 seconds ago had predicted this and had called him emperor. He says, listen, you have spoken well, and therefore I will grant you 3 wishes. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the wishes and why he chose each one, but the most telling one for us for today was that he said to Rabbi, he knew that Jerusalem was lost. There was no way the Romans were going to give up on Jerusalem. That was, the writing was on the wall. It was going to be destroyed. But he said to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, "Ten li Yavne, give me Yavne. I want the city Yavne to be an oasis in this desert, in this darkness, a place where I will be able to learn with my students." And lo and behold, Vespasian agreed, because he said to himself, what's going to be in Yavne? Nothing. Little did he know, and in fact, it was a lesson in history that many a tyrant such as Hitler learned from, that when you give the Jewish people any type of oasis, any type of place for learning, a bastion of Torah learning, of our faith, is the beginning of our rebirth. As long as we are able to learn, as long as we are able to maintain that connection between us and our Father in heaven, then nothing can really touch us, nothing can destroy us. And so it was. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, with 5 students, which we're going to hear about in 1 second, he went about re-establishing a place of learning, a place where scholars would be able to develop themselves, and from that was a rebirth, despite the destruction of the temple, of our people and of the future of the Jewish people. And I have to tell you, only last night, my son Raphael announced that he wants to go. He's been accepted, and he wants to go to study in Yavne. So it's very heartwarming that we are learning a Mishnah about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who established Yavne as a place of learning. And just yesterday, my son announced that he's accepting the place, and please God, he will go and continue in the footsteps of the illustrious Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. On to the next. So what did he actually teach us? Let's actually see. Im lamata Torah harbe, if you learned much Torah, al tachzik tova la'atzmacha ki lekach natzarta. The whole point of whatever we receive in life, right, is in order to be able to give it off, to share it with others. Ki lekach natzarta, that is what we were created. Okay, and let me explain to you. Okay, Rabbi Lord Sachs, who we learn in his memory every single day, said the most exquisite idea. Let me share it with you. He said there are 2 sources of water in Israel. There is Tiberias and there is the Dead Sea. Okay, now when it comes to Tiberias, we know it is alive. It is full of life. There's fish and there's all living organisms inside it, right? And yet, when it comes to the Dead Sea, much bigger water space, and yet we know that it is dead, as the name suggests. Nothing lives there. So Rabbi Sachs suggested that the difference between a Kinneret and the Dead Sea is that the Kinneret takes in water from different rivers, River Jordan and other rivers, but it also gives off water to the whole of Israel. It shares what it has, right? Like the heart that takes in blood, but then pumps it around the body. So it is with the Kinneret. Whereas to the Dead Sea, it doesn't give any of its water to anything else. It's constantly taking. When we are takers rather than givers, we're not alive. But if a person is able to absorb, to receive from others, and then to share it to push it in a different direction, then lekach notzarta, that's the purpose of life. And therefore, we go on. 5 students had Rebbe Kiva, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Hayula Rabbi Ve'eluhein, Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus, Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania, Rabbi Yossi Cohen, Rabbi Shimon ben Nasano, and Rabbi Elazar ben Aroch. 5 students. And literally, Jerusalem, we know, was decimated. The Romans were ruthless. They had no mercy. They killed, slaughtered, raped, maimed, destroyed Jerusalem and everyone in it. And they took off so many young boys and girls for illicit relations, and they put them on the boats and sent them to Rome. But from 5 people was rebuilt the whole of the Jewish people, the future of the Jewish people. And therefore, I think it is a very powerful lesson, friends, about what we can accomplish. There is no end to the opportunities and the potential and the potency that we have. One little seed in an apple, and from it can grow trees upon trees, orchards can grow, future generations can grow, huge trees come from one little seed. We don't realize the potency, the power, the potential that each and every one of us has. Food for thought as we continue our learning. So Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Memorial prayer, friends. Adonai Lamim Zacho Es Nishmais Leah Bas Faivo Rab Yaakov Tzvi Ben David Aryeh Ben Yomen Akiva Ben Shlomo Tipper Feiga Boas Reuven Baruch Paul Kazimir Shalom Ben Eleli Ben Abbas Faivo from Rosh Hashanah Bas Yaakov Shmuel Kayla Ben Abbas Henoch Yirmiyahu Chio Ben Moshe Eliezer Sarah Malka Bas Ben Yomen Yishlomo Chio Ben Yeshua Levi Avram Mordechai Ben Moshe Katna, as well as the Yortzites for today. Bible Chaim ben Yisrael Ackerman, Melita Bambaji, Melech Mordechai ben Avram Copeland, Chaim Ber ben David, Yitzchak Diamond, Meir ben Aryeh Golma, Chana bas Leibus Posner, Yeshua ben Yeshua Dov ben Yeshua Yosef Goodkin, and Francis Fenton, Avram ben Mordechai, Elia Myers, David Chuno Bas Ben Shmuel Avram Rosenberg, Shalchuli Lamamba Ganeda Te Menucha Sam Lachim Bal Rachamim, Yasi Rein Beseisa Kanafab Lamim, Veyeswas Chesish Wasabadinai, Nachlasam, Yanuch Bishlam Mishkavam, Benamar, Amen. I think David is the only one that I can see who's said good morning, who has Yortzeit today. David, wish you long life, along with all of those that are joining us that have Yortzeit, or that are in their year. Please God, look forward to continuing our learning program throughout the week. Keep safe, look after yourselves, keep well. It's brighter day, brighter weather. It's a beautiful Tuesday. Get some sun, go for an exercised walk, and please God, we look forward to seeing each other in person in the not too distant future. Take care.